Hi, I'm Kristen Oaks-White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. My partner Avery Davidson is participating in the Ag Leadership class in Monroe this week, but we'll see him later on in the show. Well, after more than 22 inches of rain over 2 days nearly drowned sugarcane fields in Youngsville, Louisiana back in August, growers there worked to deliver their crop to the mill, now under much drier weather. But is this change in the weather after so much rain and flooding enough to save this year's crop? TWILA's AJ Sabine has more.
Bright sunshine and a gentle breeze welcome a sugar combine on the Lewis farm down in Youngsville, just south of Lafayette. This beautiful weather is a far cry from the more than 22 inches of rain over 2 days that fell on this sugarcane. Back in August, the deluge left some sugarcane lodged and flooded. However, sugar grower Eddie Lewis explains that sugarcane is quite resilient, and this harvest has him optimistic.
We're sending most of our cane to Cajun Sugar Company in New Iberia, and we're probably averaging 221 pounds per ton right now. The CRS is actually pretty good right now. We're enjoying the good dry weather. The dry weather really helps, so we're looking forward to having a good dry grinding season.
Lewis grows right at 2,800 acres of sugarcane. Before the flood, he needed a good harvest season to recoup losses from mud-caked sugarcane that emerged from last year's wet harvest. Lewis says his concern is mostly with next year's crop, as floodwaters may have washed away valuable topsoil during planting.
Typically the yields might go down a little bit because some of the cane washed away with the rains, and also the dirt, the topsoil that covered the cane kind of washed away. So we're just kind of worried about the 2017 cane that we planted this year. You always plant for the future, so you plant your crop in 2016 for 2017. We had quite a few farmers in the area with a lot of damage with the 2017 planting.
2017 crop notwithstanding, Lewis explains that tonnage on his farm actually increased on this parcel, likely because of the flood. He says he brought in between 5 and 40 tons to the acre from fields that he has harvested.
Sugarcane is a pretty much resilient crop. It's hard to kill. For the waters to kill the sugarcane, it has to actually get on top of the leaf, on top of the plant to kill it. Other than that, it'll stay alive. And it would have to probably stay anywhere from 15 to 20 days to actually be able to kill it. So long as that water gets out in 7 to 10 days after a big flood of 10 to 15 inches, we'll be okay.
Being okay after a weather disaster is just what the doctor ordered for Louisiana sugar growers. In Youngsville, I'm AJ Sabine for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
According to the American Sugarcane League, the USDA named 11 sugarcane producing parishes as primary disaster areas. Likewise, 9 parishes were declared contiguous disaster areas, which were eligible for Farm Service Agency disaster programs. Farmers planted more than 431,000 acres of sugarcane in Louisiana this year. The flooding this year is hopefully over, but it still might be doing damage in the form of feral hogs. The hogs are responsible for about $55 million in agricultural losses each year, according to the LSU Ag Center. The recent floods in the spring and summer could increase the amount of damage caused by them, and Dr. Sean Tanger says the floodwater may have pushed hogs out of their normal habitats and into farmland. His research of hog damage in 2013 showed that they like to travel along waterways, like the Red and Amite rivers.
If they're out in those areas typically, and then they're on your property, well, if they can't go back due to the flooding, naturally where's the hog going to go? So they might not sit on a particular piece of property now, but it would seem if they can't go as far back into their typical habitat, then they might have to move on to somewhere else. That may be another farm.
Tanger says he's hoping to do more research on the damage caused by feral hogs. He says if you would like to see more research done on the feral hog problem, you should contact your lawmakers and extension agents. Well, as the air cools off and the days get shorter, many farmers are wrapping up their harvest and getting the land ready for winter. For many, that also means trading in the tractor for the four-wheel drive and the work boots for the hunting boots. This week, Carl Wiggers takes us to Point Capee Parish to meet a farmer whose passion for the outdoors drives him to better care for his farmland and hunting land alike.
Rich farmland and lush forests cover the land inside the Morganza Spillway. This creates the perfect setting for Chip Vosberg to establish his hunting camp, Buck Crossing.
The thing that complements whitetail, quality whitetail, you got to have a farm and agricultural aspect to it.
Vosberg farms more than 800 acres of soybeans inside the spillway. He explains that his nearby farm is vital to building a good herd of white-tailed deer to hunt year after year.
To have a healthy deer herd, we have to have good forage, year-round forage. And that's the benefit of the farming operations, a plus for us, because we're planting not only the soybean crops in the summer, but also planting our forage crops, our cover crops for the fall, tillage radishes and cereal rye. It's a direct benefit to white-tailed deer.
These cover crops are part of the conservation plan that Darren Boudreau from the Natural Resources Conservation Service has helped Vosburgh to put into place on his farm.
We also did an EQIP contract for no-till, cover crops, and variable rate fertilizer, precision ag. All of those things have tremendously helped with the conservation aspects on this farm. The soil quality, the soil health, the water infiltration rates, everything you can think of has been improved in just that short 2 or 3 year period that he's been farming his property.
To Chip, those improvements on the farm come down to one big idea.
Keeping our minerals on the site, keeping everything in place, you know. Probably the biggest thing, be it through slowing down water runoff, keeping the sedimentation here, you know. That's the biggest thing. It improves the quality of wildlife, which improves the quality experiences we have in the outdoors.
With a few more acres of beans to harvest, Vosburgh looks forward to putting more NRCS programs in place during this coming off season.
Hopefully keep improving and eventually minimize, after this year, reduce the amount of time we have to spend disturbing the soil is the biggest thing, and to do more hunting. And what's this? Spend more time in outdoors. I mean, the bottom line is spending times with family and friends in the outdoors.
It's pretty clear that Chip is passionate about hunting, but that absolutely does not take away from his love of being on the farm. Vosburgh plans to keep improving his farmland with programs by the NRCS. He shares an idea with all farmers in regards to their farmland, being that he wants to leave the ground better than he found it. And Kristen, I happen to love hunting too, and he invited me to come out and hunting with him in a couple months, and I'm really looking forward to Christmas break time.
I'm starting to think that the longer I get to know hunters and the longer I get to know farmers, that so many farmers farm because it's a lifestyle that's conducive to hunting, because when your farming season is the exact opposite of your hunting season.
It works out really good. It works out really good, and that's what I was raised in, so I always had a dad to take me hunting, and it's nice. So.
I'm on to y'all.
Yeah, sneaky, sneaky. So we mentioned improving the land. Well, the LSU Ag Center plays a big role in the science that does exactly that. Last week, they hosted an event to recognize 24 scientists who have received patents for their research and innovation over the past few years. The Dean and Vice President of Agriculture, Dr. Bill Richardson, says he is proud of the role LSU researchers play in the state's leading industry.
I had a farmer tell me one time I would not be in business if it wasn't what your people do for me. You know, to me, that's the bottom line. They solve problems that people need. This is not science for the sake of science. This is science that deals with a particular issue, and some real creative people. Some of the things they come up with just amazes me at times, but it's really important to the future of agriculture in this state.
As Dr. Richardson said, this is far from abstract theoretical science. This is the applied knowledge that helps our crops grow. It's well known, for instance, that rice varieties grown at the LSU Ag Center are used not only in farms in Louisiana, but worldwide. That means that the dollars that go into the Ag Center are not just support, they are investments into agriculture.
It's at the core of the Ag Center. It's what we are charged to do, is the discovery and creation of knowledge. And we got some of the most talented scientists in the country, and what they do in agriculture, I couldn't be prouder of them. The things that they come up with are solving real world problems. This information, these patents and things given today will be out on somebody's business or in their farm within the next year or two, helping solve a problem, make somebody more profitable, keep somebody in business.
Over the next few weeks, I'll be diving a little deeper into a few of the patents LSU received at the event. I'll have stories about inventions spanning industries from pharmaceuticals to oil and gas, and of course, agriculture.
There are more than 240,000 4-H members in Louisiana. The organization has clubs in every parish in the state, and this week was National 4-H Week. As TWILA's Avery Davidson shows us, the recent flood gave 4-H members another opportunity to show why they pledged their heart to greater loyalty.
The hands which lift this box are pledged to larger service.
That binder can be moved to right there on the same pallet.
Cole Daniels is a collegiate 4-H member at LSU. She and her fellow collegiate 4-Hers are gathering donated school supplies for flood victims.
So that's what's on the shelves, which are actually done?
Yeah, that's what we've sorted through and labeled. That way if people come and say, hey, we need so much loose leaf, there's that big box of loose leaf that we can pull off and give to them.
And organizing them for when young people need them.
since schools are still being rebuilt and being open, they don't really know what they need yet. So we're holding this for when they do need it.
It's a need known by 4-H'ers around the world. The Behar County 4-H in Texas even sent a banner. But San Antonio is much closer than where some of these donations originated.
We've had donations from Australia, Texas, the Carolinas, I mean, all over Louisiana.
In the pledge, we have My Heart to Greater Loyalty. So I think that through the flood efforts, we can show our loyalty to our state just by, you know, if you donate one book or if you donate 1,000 books, you're being loyal to the state.
That pledge is not something these 4-H'ers take lightly. For Xavier Bell, it's a code he's followed almost his entire life.
I was in 4th grade it was just something to do to get out of class for an hour to go to a club meeting and it all, I mean, it turns out to be something lifelong.
It seems like every story of every service opportunity I've had or anything that has significantly impacted me either professionally or personally has come from a 4-H experience.
Within Louisiana 4-H, I've gone to cities and places I've never imagined me going. I've been to Washington, D.C. to represent this entire Louisiana 4-H organization on a national spectrum, where I met the CEO of National 4-H Council, which was something big for me.
You work so closely together that you become a family and you can grow together. I mean, friends that I have in college are friends that I've had since 4th grade from 4-H, and you get to travel together, you get to work together, and you get to grow together.
You are 4-H grown and you can become 4-H grown.
Which is why for these young people who have chosen to continue with 4-H, even in college, being 4-H grown is just a way of life. In Baton Rouge, I'm Avery Davidson for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
For more on 4-H and to see everything going on for 4-H Week, log on to our website at twilatv.org. Still to come on TWILA, a well-earned reward for a job well done. See what these young farmers got a chance to bring home recently. Plus, we're going to see what's trending on TWILA and tell you more about National 4-H Week. Stay with us. While enough time has passed for someone to make a film about the Deepwater Horizon disaster, the federal government is still working to improve water quality and coastal ecosystems 6 years after oil washed ashore along the Gulf Coast. The $328 million restoration strategy is being spearheaded by the USDA through its Natural Resources Conservation Service Gulf of Mexico initiative. From now through 2018, the NRCS will help agricultural producers plan and implement conservation improvements to 3.2 million acres in priority areas. Louisiana State Conservationist Kevin Norton says this is a dedicated strategy to improve the ecosystems along the Gulf Coast.
The strategy involves taking the regular Farm Bill program dollars and prioritizing them to issues and efforts that improve not only the quality of life, the conservation benefits on agricultural land, but also contribute to the quality of the water in the Gulf. So we have examples like the Big Creek watershed, East Fork Big Creek in Tangipahoa Parish. Both of those have been listed as impaired streams. We've been working on them for the last 4 years, and they're going to come off the 303D list. That's all because of agriculture producers taking our conservation programs, applying them to their dairy, to their farm, to their grazing operation, and reducing sediment nutrients contributions to the water.
If you would like to learn more about the Gulf of Mexico initiative, or if you would like to see how the NRCS can help you on your farm or ranch, visit our website at twilatv.org. Well, last January, Louisiana's 2015 Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award winners, Dustin and Ashley Morris, went to the American Farm Bureau Convention and were named finalists in the nationwide competition of young farmers and ranchers. As finalists, they received a Case IH farm haul tractor similar to the one you see Dustin inspecting here. Farm Bureau couldn't honor the young farmers and ranchers across America without the help from partners like Case IH.
We want to congratulate you on your achievement. Case IH is proud to sponsor the American Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers. We try to provide the tools and equipment necessary to young farmers and producers to lay a good foundation for future success, and just want to congratulate you, and we are proud to be partners with American Farm Bureau.
Morris says being honored for this award is made even sweeter by the tools they receive that help them on the farm.
It's very rewarding. I mean, it is quite an honor to be considered to be one of the top 4 young farmers and ranchers in the country, and then to have Case step up in such a large way and you know, donate a tractor to us. I mean, it's a handy tool to have on the farm, and we really appreciate them being so supportive.
This year's winners, Ryan and Danielle Yerby, will travel to Phoenix, Arizona to represent Louisiana this coming January. Now is the time in our show when we bring you our viewers online and show you what people were talking about in agriculture on social media. October 2nd through the 8th is National 4-H Week, and lots of people are honoring the organization on social media. 4-H is the nation's largest youth organization with more than 6 million active members and 25 million alumni members across the country. On Tuesday, Baton Rouge Raising Cane's locations donated 15% of their sales to Collegiate 4-H Club at LSU. 4-H clubs across the country donated school supplies to some of the schools affected by the recent flooding here in South Louisiana. This year, 4-H focused on celebrating 4-H pride by encouraging alumni, volunteers, parents, and 4-H members to share how 4-H has made an impact on their life with the hashtag 4HGrown. All week, famous 4-H alumni like Johnny Cash, Archie Manning, and even Julia Roberts were highlighted on social media. Facebook users could honor 4-H by posting this temporary photo frame around their profile picture for the week. On Twitter, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association highlighted different NCBA staff members who grew up in 4-H. And we thought we would join in on the 4-H Grown celebration and show you a few of our own 4-H alumni here at TWILA. Our intern, Allie Doise, grew up showing pigs through 4-H and also served as a state officer for Louisiana 4-H. Information and PR Department Director and our boss, Kerry Martin, also grew up showing cattle, sheep, and whatever other animal he could get his hands on. And finally, that is yours truly. I was a former 4-H president, and I also spent 12 years showing Angus cattle across the country, and it was some of the best times of my life. Well, now moving on to this week's TWILA Trivia. Last week the question was, which former U.S. president did not have ties to a farmer ranch? And the correct answer is A, John F. Kennedy. This week's trivia question is, in 1929, a group of 4-H club boys delivered what kind of animals to the South Pole? Was it A, cows, B, pigs, or C, goats? To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILA Trivia. Or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org. Coming up after the break, Neil Lawson takes a look at how much you're paying at the grocery store. Find out coming up next.
Louisiana farmers are more than a third of the way through their soybean harvest. Many are seeing much lower yields than expected, and the reasons are obvious. Record-setting rains in August flooded many fields, and insect and disease pressures compounded the problems.
There's just going to be a lot of damage, a lot of quality damage, and the yields are going to be off considerably, especially those that received a lot more rainfall.
Fields that were totally underwater for several days were completely destroyed, and the wet weather did not allow farmers to get into their fields to spray for both insects and diseases.
The biggest things were the disease and insects. When we're not able to get in the fields and treat for those pests, then typically we see a lot of damage.
Before the flooding rains came, farmers were having a difficult time controlling for insects, and many farmers invested both time and money trying to control them.
This year we saw a lot of damage from stink bugs, primarily the red-banded stink bug, which is one that just has given us a lot of trouble.
Levy said he has seen many fields with severe quality issues. Many of these beans will either go unharvested or suffer a drastic price reduction at the grain elevators.
It just doesn't pay to spend a bunch of money harvesting them when the quality and what they're going to receive is going to be less than what it costs to actually harvest them.
Levy expects the weather issues of August to reduce the statewide soybean yield somewhere between 7 to 10 bushels an acre. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
Well, we do have some good news here for the end of the show. If you've been to the grocery store lately, you might have noticed prices have gone down a bit. Joining us now for this week's Bottom Line is Neil Melanson. And Neil, the only reason that I'm allowing you to come back to talk about grocery prices is that you told us we would catch a break.
And we have. We have at the grocery store.
I don't know. I paid $200 to $300 every single week.
What are you buying? A lot of sushi, a lot of steak.
No, a lot of
surf and turf.
Maybe the items have something to do with it.
Well, it is coming down. It's coming down slowly, but honestly, this drop is coming a bit sooner than I expected, and it looks like prices are going to go that way for the foreseeable future. It's a combination of lower prices for farm commodities and cheaper oil that has finally eroded those record high prices we've seen in recent years. I have the latest American Farm Bureau Market Basket survey, and this time around, the 16 items surveyed cost $49.70, which is down $4.40 from this time last year. That's a drop of about 8% overall. 13 food items dropped in prices while only 3 increased. Eggs are our big plunge, down 51% to $1.48 a dozen. That's the market working its magic right there. Other poultry-related products down significantly as well, with chicken breast at $2.86 per pound, a drop of 16% there. Another meat, sirloin tip roast, down 11% to $5.04 per pound as well. Whole milk is down a whole 10% from last year to $2.84 a gallon. That's a big drop, although the prices are not quite as much here in Louisiana. We've got ground chuck roast down 9% to $4.13 a pound, and everyone's favorite, bacon, down 3% to $4.40 a pound. These are the only 3 items that went up. Bag salad up to $2.85 a pound. That's 16% increase. Apples up 10% to $1.59 a pound, likely due to the dryness in the Pacific Northwest this year. And finally, potatoes up 3% to $2.73 for a 5-pound bag. As I mentioned earlier, the drop in commodity prices overall is what's causing grocery costs to finally come down. A very large piece of this puzzle is the price of cattle. If we look at them over the past 2 years, you can see that big drop in prices, whether we're talking feeder cattle from states like Louisiana or live cattle going to slaughter. Either way, prices are bottoming, culminating at live prices this year at less than $1 per hundredweight. Now, they've come up a little bit since that 1st of October low, but the trend overall is down, something we knew we'd see once the nation's cattle herd began to rebuild. Well, that started 2 years ago, and it didn't just affect the cattle industry. Poultry, egg, and pork producers all responded to higher prices in the meat industry by producing more. That's why I think these lower prices for food are here to stay. Meat accounts for most of the higher prices at both the grocery store and restaurants. The bottom line is, while this survey is an informal one, it does track with the Consumer Price Index, which is pointing not only to lower prices, but to a lower trend in consumer prices overall. We're going to do this again next month ahead of Thanksgiving, but my bet is that we're going to see similar results overall. And of course, Kristen, you know, the big thing is you got to find those bargains, and that may be why your grocery store bill is higher. And especially coming up with Thanksgiving, you got to shop around for that turkey.
Well, I will tell you this, I did notice the eggs. When I went to get a carton of eggs, they had some that were 98 cents and I had to do a double take. Yeah. I said, what? This cannot be right.
Well, you know, they had all that trouble with eggs and, you know, the big chickens and, you know, that got killed and all that. So they just went into overproduction, and now we're seeing the benefits of that.
Well, I'm very happy with your report on grocery prices this time. I'll let you come back next.
Thank you.
Neil Melancon, thank you. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week in the first part of Carl Wigger's series on the LSU Ag Center's patents and how they could affect you. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.